Our partnership with Alice Waters in the development of the Edible Schoolyard was really cultivated pre-Katrina through our initial school, the New Orleans Charter Middle School campus, where we, for a number of years, had a small gardening project. And through that gardening project, we met Randy Fertel, whose foundation had an interest in enriching programs in schools around New Orleans.
My friend Debbie Nelson here, one of the Kitchen sisters, called me up and she said, I have Randy Fertel on the telephone here. Would you talk to him about the Edible Schoolyard? He wants to do this in New Orleans. And she just put him on the phone to me. And I said, well, maybe you should come see it first to see whether this is a possibility, whether you really want to do this. And he said, okay, I'm coming, and I'm bringing the principal from this school.
It started with a visit that I made with Randy to see the Edible Schoolyard in Berkeley. And like most people who've been there have said to me, it was really a fabulous experience. And so from seeing it, then I began to imagine even greater possibilities for the partnership.
And they had the biggest possible vision of what could be done. It just kind of took my brother and we went down to see the school, and they really loved what was going on there, and they said, we're going to have a meeting in New Orleans, we're going to make this happen.
So then Alice made arrangements to come and visit the school, met with the staff, really shared with the staff her vision of what should happen very differently in schools, and how the work that she had cultivated at Berkeley at the Martin Luther King School really led to the kinds of results in terms of kids' behavior and food and their interest in cooking and their interest in community.
Everything that I hope is about changing the values in the public school system, building a democracy in America, all of those ideas. They were talking about this.
That vision really excited the staff, myself included. And then from there was really no turning around. We started with a very small advisory group that was a mix of New Orleanians with an interest in food and education and kids, with several folks, including Alice from California. And from that very small group, we've now developed a fairly sizable advisory board of individuals on the West Coast, the southern part of the United States, and the East Coast, who now have this shared vision with Alice of how this program can really make a significant difference here at our school, Green, but also a significant difference in helping to rebuild the public school system in New Orleans.
I recently had the extreme pleasure of going to Berkeley, California to really immerse myself into the Edible Schoolyard there. So I attended probably about 10 cooking classes and about 10 garden classes, and really felt like I got the values and philosophy of how they really cherish their land and really cherish the food that they grow. And I see a lot of similarities, but I think that our Edible Schoolyard will look differently. We're in a very urban setting, so we're imagining it to have a community feel as well as they do in Berkeley. And I just think it's going to taste a lot different. We have very different foods and very different palates here. So the types of things we'll be growing in our climate will really support the rich Creole history and other ethnic culinary histories that we have here in the city. Well, the first plantings at Green are really taking place on the front porch, which is such a New Orleans tradition. As the kids come into the school and exit the school, they all really enjoy all the beautiful flowers and herbs that they have planted. Our school had about 1.5 feet of Katrina flood water, so all of this landscaping here in front of the school is new, all donated by community partners. So starting on the front porch and literally wrapping around the school into our Edible Schoolyard is really how the gardening is starting at Green. It's sometimes hard to figure out where to start with all the benefits of it. We have the academic enrichment, where we will have our organic garden and kitchen eventually, really reinforcing science and math and social studies in our school. There's all of the nutritional and health benefits for our kids, really nourishing their bodies and souls through gardening. Kind of the first phase of our project is to put in a very expansive organic garden. Students at all levels, kindergarten through 8th grade, have been involved in planning for the garden and talking about what they want to grow, what they want to see their garden look like.
The early education is about planting and understanding the parts of a plant and really teaching science through the gardening classes and the food preparation classes.
7th graders have been doing the soil testing to make sure we have a good quality soil, to make sure there's no toxins in our soil after Katrina.
In the later years, we hope to see how that early experience with different foods and growing and then cooking and eating and the sense of community begins to change kids' behaviors substantively, changing their relationships with one another, broadening their understanding of the world around them, particularly to be able to answer the question, where does food come from? We also hope to see some significant outcomes in terms of some reduction in weight, some reductions in sugar intake, for example, reduction in the junk food consumption.
It's all of this. We have literally, it's almost like a half a city block. It's about 1/3 of an acre. And we're envisioning a very edible schoolyard, similar to Berkeley, where kids can come out and forage, literally, coming to school in the morning, eating their berries, picking figs off their trees. We'll have a lot of citrus. We'll have lots of fresh vegetables that are used in our Creole cooking here in New Orleans. So we are also envisioning outdoor classroom space where we can bring out an entire science class or social studies class, and then children will break out into small groups doing the work in the garden. What most illustrates what Edible Schoolyard will be at Green Charter School is the past 3 days. We worked with a language arts and social studies teacher studying Vietnam, and we went and visited Vietnamese gardens in New Orleans East, which is a really rich part of the city's heritage. The students then purchased herbs that they could plant, and we planted in containers here at Green. And then the following day, we went to had a traditional Vietnamese meal together. And in about a month, when the herbs and lettuces are ready to harvest here, we'll prepare our own Vietnamese meal.
This is exciting for us as a school because we have great goals of having a really terrific science curriculum. But our broadest thinking is that through the math curriculum and the social studies curriculum and the language arts curriculum, that kids will spend time in the garden writing about the experience. They will spend time in the garden sort of plotting plots mathematically. And they will also spend time really talking about the social, cultural history of food that is indigenous to Louisiana and New Orleans in particular.